Aloha! This is a special episode of The Negotiation Table. My name is Wincy Hong, your host and communication specialist here at HGEA. With us today, we have President of the Hawaii Nurses Association, Rosalie Agassi, to talk to us about the labor dispute between more than 600 nurses and Kapiolani Medical Center. So welcome.
Thank you.
Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you never miss an episode like this. All right, let's dive in. After nurses held their one-day strike on Friday, September 13th, Kapiolani Medical Center took the unprecedented step of locking out HNA members. This move marks an escalation in the year-long dispute for a new contract with patient caseloads at the center of the negotiations. So my first question for you, can you start by giving viewers perhaps an update on the dispute? Are your members still locked out as of our filming today on Tuesday, September 17th?
Okay, so we are presently locked out of the hospital. This past Saturday, the 14th of September, we tried to attend work, and the nurses wanted to, go up and try to attend work, and we were told by the employer, no, you are not allowed to come to work. We complied and we walked away, but for the nurses it was hard not to be able to go to the patients that they dearly want to just care for. That's what they do best. That's why they're nurses. Each day we've been having activities just to make sure the community is aware. We've been getting a great amount of support. The community's been stepping up, talking to us, seeing what they can do to help us out, to maybe hey, tell the employer, what are we doing here? Why are you locking the nurses outside? This is so different from a strike because, with a strike, it is our choice as nurses to say, hey, we're gonna not go in. And so the onus is on us. We made the decision. But now it's different because now the hospital is the one that's deciding. They're deciding you can't come in. We will take care of the patients in here. And that's what, for the nurses, it's hard because it's not a choice for them now, but they know that the patients that are in there are going to be, maybe not taking as good care as when they're there, but it's just not being there for them. And it's beyond their control. So we're just, trying to keep them busy, trying to keep the community involved, keeping the nurses so that, they don't get sad. So they're spending some time together. We've been doing actions. We've been demonstrating in front of the hospital. We just did one Monday. It was very successful. A lot of unions came out as well. One of our Kaiser nursing unions have come out, and it's been just great, touching bases with them. We've been very fortunate that I believe Teamsters had come out as well. ILWU, I know they just had a big conference. They came out. I know HGA showed up at the strike. It was great seeing them over there. And then what has happened today was a big march. We went to the state capitol. We wanted to see Governor Green because we've been trying to reach out to him and say, hey, I think the community is hurting. This is definitely something that is very concerning because you have. I just got the number today. It was 637 nurses. So 637 nurses are not working, right? And now they're trying to sign up for unemployment, and it's difficult, right? Because now you have this large amount of people that are not going to be able to work after the end of the month. They'll be cut off. So, and now they're just not receiving any income. And then insurance. Right? Insurance for them is, in the back of the head because if they can't pay for it because they've only paid up to the end of the month, now they're going to have to pay COBRA, which is definitely a lot more expensive. So, there's a lot on their mind. So we're just trying to keep them, going. The march at the Capitol was great. We had delegates that were from the community that went up and tried to talk to the governor. Apparently he was busy with a lot of meetings. It was sad because, there was, almost 500 nurses outside, that wanted to see him. And that was something that I had a conversation with him, and he said he wanted to talk to the nurses himself. And I said, I talk to him every day, and you're more than welcome to talk to them individually. And we brought 500 of them, they're here, so this is your opportunity to say something to them. So it was disappointing. We still have hope that he'll choose the right path and help the community out, because by helping the nurses, he'll be helping the keiki and the babies and the laboring moms in the hospital, and he'll be helping the nurses that right now are unemployed, no source of income. A lot of them, I know they talk about wages and everything like that, but what is not shared is some of these nurses are single parents. They're the only ones taking care of their families. They may have 2 kids, and there's no one else but them. Also, multi-generation. I know of many nurses that are raising not only their children still, who are adults, but they have their grandchildren in there. Their great-grandchildren live with them. So, we live in a Hawaiian society where there's a lot of ohana, right? So the families become dependent on that income. So that's why they decide, I'm going to go into nursing, so they can actually provide for their family and teach them, hey, maybe this is something you should do. So it's great because they're working, but I don't think they should be counted for working and not working. Well, not working now is been a challenge. We hope to negotiate on Thursday. Thursday we asked for in-person, and we have other people that want to be involved, and we're like, oh, okay, help us out, see what it is, see the conversation. I think the one thing the employer has been having a hard time is with nurses. We're very transparent. We've involved the nurses from day one with negotiations. They know exactly what proposals are on the table and off. We've always had the opportunity for them to check out, what are we negotiating about? And that's been different from the years past. So, and we made sure communication is important.
Right. And going back to the lockout, so lockouts are pretty unusual here in the local labor landscape, but they are much more common on the mainland. So why do you think the hospital took this extraordinary step?
Well, as you know, in January, we took the 7-day strike, right? And it was hard. It was very hard financially for our members, and we knew coming back, when we came back from it, we knew it was very hard for our patients. And so when it came, to a year, and, we were talking about it, and we said, you know what, we felt that September 13th was a good time to have an action. And so we decided on a strike, and a 1-day strike, just because we knew the members would be more open to it, and we knew that it would be like limiting, the amount of days that we were away from the bedside. So we said, okay, let's do it. And of course, that strike was a unfair labor practice, and it was perfect because it was based on retaliation. Safe staffing has been something that the nurses have always fought for from day one, and the retaliation was in regards to forms we fill out. And those forms are allowing us to say, hey, this situation is unsafe, whether it's for the nurse or the patient. Maybe there's not enough training on the equipment involved. Maybe there's too many patients in the load. So we said, it's perfect. Retaliation, the environment it has that, so we are going to do a ULP strike on that. And we did our 10-day notice, and interesting enough, the employer decided that, hey, you're going to have an open-ended lockout. So you take this 1-day strike, you're going to have an open-ended lockout. And we were just like, what? Like, wow, that is retaliation. So we're like, well, there you go. They've demonstrated exactly what we struck for on Friday. And now they're going to do the ultimate retaliation by saying unlimited lockout unless you agree to our last and best and final. And that for me is not really bargaining in good faith. There is room for more negotiations. They didn't have to take this route. And by taking this route, they've really tied our hands, because what are we going to do? We're going to accept language that we've been fighting for a year, that, appropriate ratios, everybody's talking about, is that enough nurses to take care of the patients? I know the employer's been talking about wages and whatnot. The nurses, all of them would not have made this stance if it was just wages. What it is making sure there's enough nurses at the bedside to take care of these patients. They talk about short staffing. It's not short staffing, really. What's happening is nurses are moving away from the bedside. There's a lot of nurses here in Hawaii. They just choose not to work at the bedside. And that's the one thing that we're worried about, because the nurses we have now, the ones that have still stay here and they have not moved or gone away, they know what it's going to take. They know that we need this many nurses to make sure that when we come into work, we're not like crying when we leave, or just, worried that did we make a mistake because we were running around all over the place. We don't know if we, caught everything. But, nurses being the way they are, they're the type that they will give, they will move, they'll make sure the patient will get the best possible care. And at times, what is sacrificed is caring for themselves. So they may not take a break, they will not take a lunch break, and they'll just, what we call, suck it up, right? Just keep working and working and working. But you can only do that so long it's not sustainable. And I think we've come to a point where the nurses are saying, we can't do this anymore. It's very hard. It's hard on us. It's hard on the patients. So that's why you're looking at, 637 nurses that are unemployed at, not getting paid, and making a stance and telling everybody, this is wrong. We need to stand up to this.
The hospital appears to be demanding that nurses accept its most recent offer or remain locked out, like we talked about. How do the nurses feel about this take it or leave it approach?
Oh, they're upset because, right, we knew going in to negotiations that the ratios, the employer likes to call it matrix, that was definitely something different in Hawaii. Right? And the interesting thing is, as being president, I can see it's in different areas. So when I sit in on Queen's negotiations, they talk about ratios as well. They're talking about safe staffing. They're talking about, let's take care of our nurses so that they can take better care of their patients. Kauai, all the way in Kauai, Wilcox, which is also Hawaii Pacific Health entity, is also saying it's outrageous. There's not enough nurses to help take care of the patients, and they are just putting it at the forefront. They're gathering their community and saying, hey, we need help here. We need support because we can't do this anymore. The nurses are leaving, or we can't attract them to come to the bedside to help to take care of these patients. So that's why it's coming to the forefront, and I want everybody to know that it's not just Kapiolani at this point. We are worried about everybody else, and it's interesting because before we thought, it's just the nurses, the rest of the nurses in the state. But now, because of that lockout that they've implemented, we're looking at any union workforce here in Hawaii or the United States, because if this employer gets away with it, that's what they're going to do. They're going to do that to everybody. And our nurses know that. They know that they have to stand strong to that. So, it's day 4, I believe. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, day 4. And, they're hanging strong right now. They see the support. And, we're taking it a day at a time.
Mm-hmm. The hospital is relying on the same kind of travel nurses that the healthcare industry relied upon during the pandemic. Why is this a lose-lose for the hospital, patients, and union members?
So, they fly these travelers that cover strikes. They're very expensive. We were calculating, we were asking, and they can make as much as $100 an hour as well. And then at times with overtime, they can do $120. So now you're paying double for one nurse, and lock out a local nurse outside, but you're paying these travelers to come in to replace that nurse. So for every travel nurse you're seeing in there, you probably could have 2 nurses. And so it's interesting enough that Hawaii Pacific Health Kapiolani is deciding to use this route, because now they're spending more money on nurses at the bedside, which is what we're asking for, to, please make sure that there's enough nurses there, but they're putting nurses out on the street that are the local ones that are here and specialized. So it's very confusing why they took this route. why, what is this? Is this retaliation? Like, is it because we're standing up and we're saying this is wrong? We need to, change. We always say it's time for change. Is the healthcare field, it's just going to keep going downhill until somebody stands up to it. So the nurses have decided to take that stand.
And negotiations have dragged on for a year. What are the sticking points where you'd like to see movement, and how optimistic are you that you'll be able to get this resolved?
So, we talk about it a lot, and with the staffing matrix and ratios, that is something that we've worked over in the past year. It's been, give and take. There's like a true negotiations. What the concern is, okay, so let's say we have whatever we have for the ratios, the matrix. Now, how do we ensure the next 3 years that, hey, are we going to keep these? Are we going to keep accountable? How is the employer going to be kept accountable that we follow this? They always say, well, it's the first time, it's a new thing. I say, we understand that, but what is it that we can agree on? And so we threw things around, like mediator, expedited arbitration. And we even said, hey, let's compromise. We'll work with a mediator. And then, if that doesn't work, then let's do expedited arbitration, because arbitration takes a while, but expedited arbitration, will be shorter. So then maybe, we can move on items. There's various things that within the package that, the nurses are like, okay, this is important. One of the things that has been happening is that the employer has utilized on-call as a staffing tool. And that's something that, it's been hard, because instead of filling these holes that are in the schedule with nurses, they'll put them on call. So, but these are people that are already working. So now they're working and they're doing more on-call hours. That happens to me. I'm a transport nurse, and we've lost probably 2-3 people over the past year. And so we have multiple openings, especially, if somebody's out sick. So we fill those holes with on-call. And so now we're almost working a lot. So they've learned to do that. There's something called mandatory overtime. We've been trying to address it, because in the past it took a hurricane, a typhoon, something really bad in order to activate it. Well, they've activated over 50 times in the past 3 years. And granted, we did have a pandemic, so we give a little leeway, right? Okay, we did have this pandemic, whatever. But now that we're kind of softening down, it's still being utilized. Why don't we have nurses hired into those positions rather than let's work these nurses that, it's out there, it's 3-day weeks. 3-day work weeks, but that's 12 hours in a day. Imagine working 7 in the morning to 7 at night, and then getting mandated to work an extra 4, which is usually, now you have 16 hours. And then for some people, they work the next day. So, you have maybe 8 hours, barely 8 hours of sleep in between. And this is, remember, we're working short, so we are running around to more patients than we usually have. So that's why you're seeing a lot more burnout, a lot more complaints. The nurses are, they feel that we need to change it.
Mm-hmm. For the labor members watching our conversation,
Yes.
Is there anything that they can do to help?
Oh, definitely. We do have actions. We do share it. We put it out there so the AFL-CIO group, we can get it out there, the state fed. And then we also are putting petitions out there. We just did one with Governor Green. He was not very happy with them, but it got his attention. And, action speaks louder than words. And we are asking more and more. It's been very interesting, because with the strike, we saw support. With this lockout, it is very, very, very different, because it's the hospital's choice to lock us out. So something's wrong there. I think with legislators and people who have been donating to hospital, they're going, what's happening here? And when they realize how much those travelers cost that are in there, they're making $100 to $120. And that's within 1 week, $10,000 to $11,000. They do have to work a lot of days, but $10,000, $11,000, man, that takes a couple of months to make that. But there you go. That's the workforce. So people are donating to Kapiolani. Is like we're asking them, hey, what's happening? Like, where's these monies going? Is it going to the patients? Is it going to the hospital? In fact, we started reporting. We had like rats running around. They weren't really watching. We had termites flying all over and on the nurses. We had to report that. So, instead of utilizing in places where it needs to be, why are we doing it on this workforce that is temporary? They're from out of state, so whatever money they're getting from Kapiolani, they're going to go away to the mainland or wherever and spend it over there. They're not going to spend it in our economy. Interesting enough, we heard one of the nurses was sharing with us that he went to Alani and a bunch of the nurses were over there. So I was like, wow, like I think I went to Alani once since it's opened up because it's pretty pricey. So again, why is this money being spent frivolously? Is it really truly being used to the keiki and the laboring women of Hawaii, which that is what Kapiolani is all about. We're a specialty hospital, and that is the interesting about the nurses is they take great pride that they are specialized in that field. When we talk to people, a lot of them were born at Kapiolani, right? Or their kids were born there. So there's that connection. So if we could get the community to talk to Ray Vera, get in touch with the hospital, the board members, say, hey, we need to stop this, because what are we doing? We're damaging our community further. Like it's just very hurtful. It just looks like, is this really business judgment, or is this someone that's very upset for a group of people that have stood up for something that's right?
Mahalo to you, Rosalie, for joining us today. We hope you know that HGEA, as well as Hawaii's labor community, stands with you and with your members. So thank you so much.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. For more content like this, folks, don't forget to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. We can't wait to see you back here at the negotiation table. Bye for now.